Following the approval of a bill that would impose tariffs on the country's exports to America.
However harsh the words may be, they may have a point here. If the bill passes, it would have a significant impact on the items you buy every day. Here with more on how this will impact your wallet is Sheryl WuDunn, president of Triple Edge and the first Asian American to win a Pulitzer Prize. Sheryl, all right, let's start with Tim Geithner and this administration. They're pushed to continue to get China to allow the yuan to float along with other currencies in relation to other currencies. Where do we stand with that?
Well, right now we are at a standoff, and the question is who's going to buckle first. Frankly, it's probably going to get a lot worse before it gets better. The U.S. is feeling incredibly frustrated with China, and it's feeling, especially in the run-up to the midterm elections, the administration is feeling great pressure to get tougher on China. But Americans are just fed up with China, and so the problem is, here is Obama. He actually makes it a centerpiece of his meeting with Wen Jiabao. Premier Wen Jiabao stiffs him. The Chinese feel vulnerable. They feel very brittle. They think that if they let this happen, let the yuan revalue, then they're going to have lost jobs, and people will take it out on the Chinese government.
Sheryl, here's the thing, though. This issue creeps up time and time again every couple of months, and we have the report, right, where the Treasury can label China a currency manipulator, yet we never do. Yet we can't seem to resolve this issue. So what is it going to take to finally get the yuan to a level that'll make both the U.S. and China happy?
Okay, well, let's talk about the level. This is very interesting.
Well, what appreciated 1% since June, correct?
Well, but look at this. What's too fast and what's enough? So when I was in China, the rate was 8.3. In the mid-2000s, in 2005, 2008, in one or two fell swoops, it revalued 15 to 20%. What happened to the trade deficit? It got larger. So it is not clear how much even 5% or 10% revaluation could really do to help our trade deficit.
You talk about that trade deficit. We talk about all the time. Well, we're now a service economy. China is the manufacturing economy. Will we ever go back to being the manufacturing economy? Or are we just doomed? I don't know if doomed is the proper word, but are we destined to be a service economy forever, and those manufacturing jobs will never come back?
Well, I think the exact same manufacturing jobs won't come back, and they shouldn't, because, China and the U.S. are at different skill levels. In fact, a lot of the displaced exports from China, if we do revalue or if there's tariffs slapped on, what it will be replaced with, it's countries in Asia, Vietnam, Indonesia. Those guys are going to be sending over the cheap goods that Americans like to buy.
So what will the impact on the American consumer be if this revaluation does happen? Well, from our perspective, what is it?
Revaluation is one thing. If it's tiny, we won't necessarily feel it. If it's large, then we will feel it in terms of more expensive imports. But the worst thing is if this proposal in the House and the Senate, if that passes and becomes law, then we actually face a potential trade war.
What's the likelihood of that happening?
It really depends on how things play out before the midterm elections. If there is a trade war, that is terrible for both sides. Job losses, no one wins.